Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Regina from Regina's Baking Academy, where we know that baking is cool. So this morning, I just wanted to pop in for a few because I want to try this new biscuit recipe and I wanted to share it with you. So I figured, let me try it now. It's not a hard recipe, but it's new for me. So I'm going to try it and see how it goes. So like with anything I tell you guys, when you're doing something for the first time or something you haven't done for a while, it's always good to have the recipe. So I have my recipe, guys. So we're doing this like live off the cuff. Um, good morning, Kevin. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to measure out my dries. So I have to measure out 2.5 cups of all-purpose butter. I mean flour. So that's AP flour, right? And there's a lot of different brands out there that are really good. It it depends on, like, sometimes I get a flour because it's on sale. Um, but oftentimes you can get, like, most supermarkets have a variety of AP flour. So I usually get, I have pretty good selections, pretty good options. So AP flour is just all-purpose flour. It's the same flour you use when you coat in your chicken or you use it to make gravies and stuff like that. But this is I'm using a particular one I use a lot. So I finished with that. I put it on the side. All right. So now I've added the flour. I gotta add 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Okay. And you know you always gotta have your measuring spoons, right, guys? It's important to have that. It makes a big difference. So I'm going to measure out 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Okay. I get a few of these. I go through baking powder a lot. Okay. Now I did a recipe of biscuits earlier this week. They were buttermilk biscuits. For that recipe, I actually used, let me just level this off. I actually used self-rising biscuits, self-rising flour. And the difference between self-rising flour and AP flour is that you have to add your leavening agent, right? So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm adding. But I want to make sure it's level. I don't want to add too much baking powder or baking soda because it takes away from the recipe. And as you know, when we finish with stuff, we put it away because my counter space is prime real estate. And you work with what you have. When I'm in my other location, I have a larger space capacity, but it's not an issue. So I added the baking powder. Now I have to add 1 tablespoonful of sugar. So I have that right here. Level that off. Pop. Okay. And then I have to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now it's really important, guys, that you get the salt ratio right. Because if you add too much and not enough salt, it really changes the flavor of your recipe. And you don't want to do that. Alright, so I have the 1/2 teaspoon. So that's what I'm adding right here. Just level it out real quick. I'm just doing this before I go to work. To my outside, I say my outside job. Okay, so I have the dries. Then I have to add 1 tablespoon, 1 stick. I apologize. I have to add 1 stick because it says 8 tablespoons. Remember in some of my previous lives, we talked about measurements and more. I did a series on measurements and more where we talked about scaling up or scaling down and knowing your measurements. So this is really important because it actually says on the recipe 8 tablespoons and then in parentheses it says 1 stick, right? So it's good to know your measurements. So now I'm gonna go get my pastry cutter. Okay. And also it says I have to add 1/4 cup of shortening. Now 1/4 cup of shortening is equivalent to 4 tablespoons of shortening. So that's what I'm going to do, guys. Now when it says 1/4 cup, you have to measure it. A cup is different from volume. If a recipe says that you have to measure it by the cup, then you do it as the recipe says. But it's important to know your ratios. That's why measurements are really important. So knowing your basic fractions and your your numbers and things, that's really important. Okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stay true to the recipe. Remember, this is my first time as well doing this particular one. So I'm gonna be doing a lot of things with biscuits. So I wanted to try it. It says 1/4 cup, then that's what I'm gonna do. You wanna respect the recipe until you know the recipe. Then once you get really familiar with the recipe, you can scale it up or scale it down. You can add things or replace. So right now I'm just making sure I have 1/4 cup of shortening. And because it's shortening, I put it in this type of cup, right? If it was a dry ingredient, I would have used the measuring cup. But this is not a dry ingredient, guys. So basically I'm just smoothing it around and making sure that it's in the cup in this level, that I got a level 1/4. I do. So I just take it and I put it in the ingredients. Okay? So that's what we're doing. And I'm going to save this cup because I'm going to need it. Usually, guys, you know the rules. When you finish with something, you put it away. But since I know I'm going to use it, I'm just going to put it right here. But I am going to remove the shortening because I don't need that. And if you like savory, once I get familiar with this recipe, I may add a little savory to it. You never know, but we're going to start from the beginning. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm just cutting the shortening into the flour recipe, to shorten it in the butter. And if you don't have a pastry cutter, it's okay. You can use a knife, and what you can do with the knife is cut up your butter in small pieces. And then you just take a serving spoon fork, and you could mix it into your flour mixture. Okay? So right now what I'm doing is I'm adding with the, I'm mixing, not adding, because I already added the butter and the shortening. Now, I like to use primarily butter in my biscuit recipes, but shortening helps your recipe, your biscuits, have an extra level of flakiness. So I know why shortening is good in recipes, because it does create that nice flakiness in your biscuit. So right now, I'm just making sure to break up the butter and the shortening in the flour mixture. So let me show you. This is what it's looking like right now, guys. Okay. So if anyone sees this later, you can put replay in the comments. But right now, we're just doing a quick little biscuit recipe. I saw it the other day and I said I had to try it because I want to start trying different biscuits. I do buttermilk biscuits. I do the sweet biscuits. I do those. But I want to try different things. I want to bring it to y'all. Okay? So that's the fun part. I do the research and discovering, and then we try it out. In my Baking Academy, which I'm creating some workshops later on for this month, I'm actually going to be doing some group workshops, more intensive baking classes. So I'll be sending that information out. If you're interested in anything more intensive than what we do here, put your email in the comments and I promise to follow up and let you know and put you on my list. Okay? Right now, this is broken up. I like doing stuff like this. If the kids were home, they would love it because it would be part of breakfast in the morning. So this is going to be my breakfast I'm going to have. And I'm taking it to work because I don't want it to be breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. So I'm going to share it. Okay. I think this is pretty good, guys. So now, it says what I have to do is I have to take 3/4 cup of mashed sweet potato. Um, okay. So now the second part I have to do is combine the sweet potatoes and the 4 tablespoons of milk in a small bowl. So it just so happens I have a small bowl. So let's go ahead and do that. And because we know sweet potatoes requires that I add, put it in this measuring cup. So I'm going to tell you guys what I did. I made candied yams the other day. And I said, well, I make candied yams, but not everybody eats them like I do. You know, if my kids were here, they wouldn't last past 2 days. But, you know, right now, I may have one that comes visits me on a regular basis. And the others, they don't come around like that because they're working and stuff. So I'm a little heavy-handed when I cook. And for New Year's Eve, I cooked a lot. I made traditional food in my family, like black-eyed peas and rice, and I made collard greens, and then I made candy yams. I don't know what I was doing, y'all. I was like doing a whole lot. My kids would be like, Mom, you did a lot. Then I made macaroni and cheese and potato salad. And it was a Friday. It wasn't even like Sunday dinner. Okay, so that's like a little less than half, so I have to add. Because the 3/4 cup is the amount that I need to add. So I'm going to add a little more right now. Okay. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm taking the candy yams that I made, sweet potatoes that I made, and I'm using that for the ingredients. So what happens is my food's not going to waste, right? Now, when I was growing up, my grandma used to cook everything from scratch, and I didn't see too much stuff going to waste because she had 5 of us. She helped raise for a while. So that was my sister and I, 3 of my cousins. And then we had my uncle and my grandpa. So, being that the sweet potatoes were already cooked, it doesn't take much for me to mash them up and, just do that and they're done. Just like that, right? So I didn't have to go through the change of baking a potato or anything. So sometimes you could do recipes. They could be inspired by sometimes what you have in the house. You know how you may bake a chicken and you bake a nice big one like an oven stuffer or something. And then you have leftovers. And you turn around and you make chicken salad. So the chicken doesn't go to waste. Who's going to waste a good chicken, right? So I said, well, I could bake another thing of biscuits, or I could do something different because I know I had the candied yams. So I decided, why don't I try the sweet potato biscuits? So that's what I'm doing right now. And the main part is making sure you have your mise en place. Mise en place means things in place. It means having your ingredients, making sure you have everything you need. Because what you want to do is to make sure when you start that you don't have to go looking for stuff or finding stuff. Now, I'm doing this in real time, so I actually, the only thing that I pre-mixed before I started this live is the flour mixture. I added the salt and the baking powder and that kind of thing. And I sort of did that with us being here. Because I want to show that it's not always hard to do stuff, but if you have everything you need, then it makes it easier. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix up the sweet potato and the milk, and then I'm going to add it to the flour dough because that's what the recipe says to do. That's what the instructions say. So you got to follow the instructions. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I did that. So here it goes. Pop. This morning I actually had to get more ready for work because I knew that this recipe was going to be a little more work. Now, I take out the pastry cutter because we don't need this anymore. I've already incorporated the butter and the shortening. So now what I have to do is mix the biscuit, the flour dough with the sweet potato mixture. And I have my spatula for that. So that's what I'm doing right now, guys. Mixing it in. Let's see. Yep. It says stir until it forms a soft dough. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm mixing it together and making sure it forms a soft dough. Okay. And the cool thing about the fact that I made sweet potatoes, I had, you know, when you make sweet potatoes, everybody does it a little different, but I put different things in it so it already tastes yummy. And now I'm putting all that nice flavor into the biscuit dough. So I'm looking forward to having a nice, yummy biscuit. And I'm going to share it. I'm taking it to work. I enjoy doing stuff like this. It's like trying new things. And because I do enjoy biscuits more than I should. But it's also fun to find different alternatives. So, what the recipe says is mix until it forms a soft dough that pulls away from the sides of the bowl. But that's not happening yet, but it will. And if I have to, I can add another tablespoon of milk. Not flour, milk. So it's coming along, guys. Okay, I'm about to put on the glove and go a little old school. Where's my gloves? I thought I had my gloves right here. I do. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to put on a glove and I'm going to mix it by hand. So we're going to take this spatula out because this spatula is good, but I want to get a little more aggressive with it because I do have to go to work. Okay. The good thing about wearing gloves, guys, is that you don't have the mixture all stuck on your hands and all that yummy goodness stays in the bowl. Okay. So it's just about there. I'm going to have to add a little more milk, so I need to add another tablespoon because we want a moist dough, guys. So that's important. Oh, it's going to be so good. So sometimes, you know, necessity creates some of the best things, right? So the fact that I didn't want to throw out, the candy yams. So I found a way to repurpose my stuff. And sometimes that's how, you know, some of the greatest inventions were made, you know, out of necessity. So I'm going to add another half teaspoon of milk because I want to have it to give it a smoother consistency. And if I need to, then I'll add another half teaspoon. So we're just going to try it with that and see what happens. Okay, guys? Yeah, that's what I needed. Yep. Now it's starting to pull away the recipe said it had to like pull away from the bowl. And if I had a bread mix and I was kneading it in my mixing bowl, then it would pull away. But that's sometimes you got to get your hands in there. See? This is how it looks now, guys. Okay. It's coming along. So now let's see what it says. Next step. Next step, next step, next step. All right. So now on a lightly floured surface, I'm going to, okay. All right. So what I have to do now is create a nice lightly floured surface. So I'm going to take a piece of wax paper, put it on the countertop. Okay. And I'm just going to sprinkle some flour because I kept a little in the bag. And I'm trying not to touch it with this glove because I'm still using it, right? And I don't want to contaminate the bag and have it a sticky mess. So I'm just putting some flour down on the wax paper. And what that does, the reason why I'm using wax paper, even though I can put it directly on my countertop because I clean it all the time, but it saves the mess, right? So, you know, if I could save some time and some mess, then why not? Okay. It's looking good. So now I'm going to transfer it to the floured surface. All right, here we go. I'll put it on the surface. Y'all know the routine. Once we finish with something, put it in the sink. Okay, guys, I'll be right back. I'm just checking for time. Okay. We're doing good this morning, guys. Okay, so I'm going to turn y'all around because I want to show you what the dough's looking like. See? This is the dough. Looks good. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now is turn that drip off because that's annoying. Thank you. Oh, thank you. So what I'm going to do right now is knead it. The recipe says knead it 3 times to make sure it get a nice smooth consistency. So, and kneading just means, you know, you bring it to you, push it away. So that's what I'm doing, guys. Just kneading the dough, making sure it has a nice smooth consistency. And I'm doing it 3 times. So what it also does, it helps me also make sure that I've incorporated the sweet potatoes throughout the flour dough mixture. So just get all that yummy stuff in there together. Okay? So I'm going to do this one more time. Now, it says that I need a rolling pin, you know, just to roll it out and cut out the biscuits. Well, I'm going to tell you what. I may or may not do that. But for the sake of integrity and following the instructions, I'll do it this time. But sometimes I like to just press it flat. However, this is my first time for this recipe. So remember what we said in prior lives. I always tell you, when you have a recipe, get the foundation of it right. And then once you're comfortable with that recipe, you could do different things with it. You could be more creative, right? Okay, so I've kneaded it, guys, 3 times. And it's nice. It got a good consistency. See? There we go. So I am going to get the rolling pin. And I'm going to roll it out, guys. Okay. right, I'm gonna go get the rolling pin so I can be in integrity and roll it out. Here we go. Okay, guys, got the rolling pin, and I have the cookie cutter. So now we're gonna roll it out. Sometimes what you could do is you could put a little flour on the rolling pin. It helps make it smoother, easier to roll. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Just coat the rolling pin with a little bit of flour, and it helps you roll out the dough better. Okay. Now, after I do this, then we're going to start cutting out the biscuits to put on the cookie sheet. Now, I've already preset the oven at 400 degrees, guys. And this recipe generates about 12 biscuits. That's what the recipe said, 12 biscuits. So we're going to see. All right. Now, what I'm doing is I'm ripping the bag in half, the flour. And because it's not a lot, I know I'm not going to, I'm going to use, what I'm going to do is put this cookie cutter in the flour, right? Because it's easier to press out your cookies, your biscuits. I call it a cookie cutter, but multi-purpose. Ooh, they look kind of pretty, y'all. I'm sure you, don't worry. I promise. That oven is waiting for these biscuits, guys. Waiting for these biscuits. And I am going to accommodate it as soon as I cut them out. Okay. So right now, what I'm doing is just cutting them out. And trying to get as many as I can on the first cut so I don't have to mix it too much on the second. Because if it says 12 biscuits, I want 12. Okay, guys. I'm getting ready to put them on a cookie sheet. Okay? Here we go. And this recipe wasn't hard. It was just a matter of making sure I had some of the ingredients that I have in the house anyway. I have flour. I have milk. I definitely have butter. Shortening I have, right? And most of us have this stuff in our house. Baking powder, baking soda, salt. So out of this first cut, guys, I got 9 biscuits. I'm going to show you. See that? I'm going to do you one better. I'll take you with me. Hold on. I got you. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm trying to turn you around. It doesn't get that part. Here we go. Okay? So I have about 3 more biscuits to cut. Remember, it said 12. So guess what? We're fixing to get our 12. Okay. Because why leave any dough on the table, right? That's like not joining your 403B or your 401k and they match. Why leave free money on the table? Go ahead and put a little something in there. So we're going to use all this. We're going to use all this dough. Okay. I actually think I'm going to get a little more than 12 biscuits out of it because of the size of the biscuit cutter, right? So I think I am. So it says about 3/4 inch thick. Roll it out and have them 2 inches apart on the ungreased cookie sheet. Okay. See? I'm following the instructions, guys. How can I tell y'all to follow the instructions and I don't? What kind of nonsense is that? Okay, so we're going to roll it out some more. Then I'm going to cut out some more. Yeah. And we're almost done. Okay. So hopefully I can get 3 more biscuits out of this. Okay. I think I did. Okay, guys. I think we're good. I think we're good. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. I don't know. I love Mulan. I need to see Mulan. The updated version. When my kids were younger, I used to take them to see all those animated feature films. I think I took them half the time because I wanted to go see it. So I had the kids there. I was like, that's my excuse. I'm like, let's go to the movie, guys. Y'all want to go to the movie? They're like, what? No, Mom. I'm like, come on. Y'all want to see Mulan? You want to see Shrek? You want to see that? We had fun. Okay. I think I'm going to get 1 more biscuit out of this. So we're going to have a baker's dozen. A baker's dozen is 13 instead of 12. Okay. We got that. So now what I have to do is spread them apart so they can do their magic. And I got a little more dough. I have a little more dough left. I hate to leave the dough on the table. It's so not cool. It deserves to be a biscuit too. So I'm going to form it and see what we can do, guys. We can't leave it here. Not cool. So I'm going to roll it out a little more. I'm not going to overwork it because I don't want it to be tough. See if we can get 1 more biscuit. Yeah, 1 more. Okay. All right, guys. So now we have 14. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I'll spread them out on the cookie sheet. I'm going to melt a little bit of butter. Ooh, 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 y'all. Let me show you, let me show you. Let me show you. Let me show you the biscuits. You see that? Do y'all see that? What you think? Looks good? Okay. I think they do too. So, what's going to happen right now is I'm going to put them in the oven. And I promise to come back when they're done, because that'll give me a chance to clean up and everything and finish getting ready to get out of here. I want to thank y'all for coming in. If you see this on the replay, just put replay in the comments. And this has been Regina from Regina's Baking Academy, where we learn that baking is cool and it's also a journey. So this is a different journey with the biscuits, right? We're on a biscuit journey, guys. And also, remember to be patient with yourself. Hey, I'm doing biscuits, sweet potato biscuits. Remember to be patient with yourself, be patient with each other, and be patient with the process. Remember, we're not perfect, right? So, and take your time. If it doesn't work out, you try it again. Let me show you 1 more time. I'm coming back when they're done, though. These are the sweet potato biscuits. I'm so excited. All right, I'm going to take a picture while you're with me. 1 more. My stuff is acting up, so I'm just going to say bye for now. I'm going to get these biscuits in the oven before I have to run out. And I promise y'all, when I finish with them, before I do anything, I'm going to come back and show y'all the finished product. So about 20 minutes or so, pop in, because they should be done. Okay? See y'all in a little while. Bye for now.